The street lamps along Whitmore Avenue glowed like watchful sentinels in the warm summer night. A silver-gray SUV cruised steadily along the smooth pavement, its tires gliding without urgency. Behind the wheel sat Alana Pierce, dressed in a crisp black button-up, her eyes focused, calm. In the passenger seat, her 9-year-old daughter Mila flipped through a comic book, her head slightly tilted and her legs crossed. No music played. There was nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. They were simply driving home. But 3 intersections back, a patrol car number 19 Delta Echo Sierra had begun following them. At first, Alana paid it no mind. She'd worked too long in government to be rattled by shadows. But when the red and blue lights flashed and the siren cracked the silence, she pulled over with the composure of someone who knew exactly what this was and what it could become. The patrol car came to a halt behind her. 2 officers stepped out. One older, heavy-set, his palm pressed against the small of his back. The other younger, with the stiff posture of someone trying too hard. Alana cracked her window, just slightly. Mila turned toward her, brows furrowing, but Alana signaled her to stay silent. "Out. Papers," the older officer said, voice sharp and curt. "I'd like to know why I'm being stopped," Alana replied, calm but firm. "I asked for ID, not commentary," he snapped, stepping closer to the window. People across the street turned to look. A man holding a pharmacy bag raised his phone and began recording. The younger officer hovered near the back door, hand grazing his holster. Alana retrieved her license and registration, extended them out the window. He didn't take them. Instead, he slammed a palm onto the hood. "Out. Now. I don't understand. Is this a traffic stop, or am I a suspect?" She stayed seated, her hands visible. The younger officer moved to the passenger side, yanked the door open, and pulled Mila out. Alana barely had time to turn before the older officer grabbed her shoulder, yanked her from the car, and spun her toward the growing crowd. "This is what non-compliance looks like," he yelled, voice projecting like a showman performing. "I knew she didn't belong in this neighborhood the moment I saw her skin." Gasps rippled through the onlookers. A soft whimper escaped Mila's lips. The man recording muttered, "She didn't do anything." Alana was shoved against the car, her hands cuffed behind her. The steel dug deep into her skin. "You're being live-streamed," she said, not shouting, just stating. He sneered and smashed her phone on the curb. "You think anyone cares?" The younger cop opened the driver's door and shone his flashlight under the seat. He reached in and pulled out a small baggie filled with white powder. "Boss, got something." The older one turned to the camera. "You see that?" Procedure followed. Suspect in possession of illegal substances. Mila stood frozen, the comic book she'd been reading now scattered in the street. A wind tossed its pages like forgotten truth. "She's being framed," an older woman whispered. Another man added, "Another one just because she's black." The cuffs dug deeper into Alana's wrists. As the patrol car door slammed shut, the older officer moved to block the man's camera. "Put it down. You're violating protocol." The man didn't lower the phone. Alana sat silent in the back of the cruiser, eyes on the perfectly maintained white fences of the neighborhood. She had followed the law. She was dressed professionally. She was with her daughter, but her skin had overridden all of it. The clip ended at 47 seconds. And America demanded to know who was she. Inside the station, she was shoved into an interrogation room with no windows. The metal chair bolted to the floor, fluorescent light beaming down like a surgical knife. The young officer who had stayed quiet during the stop avoided her eyes as he uncuffed her hands only to recuff them to the chair's metal loop. She didn't flinch. She didn't speak. 72 seconds passed in silence. The door opened. The older officer entered, holding a file like a death sentence. He leaned in, breath hot against her neck. "You want to see your kid again this decade?" Alana turned her head slowly. "I want a lawyer." He laughed a gravelly, hollow sound. "You think a lawyer's going to help? Camera in this room isn't even on." 2 floors up, a technician saw the cam 4B signal loss message. He was about to report it when a night shift supervisor patted his shoulder. "Technical issue. Let it go." In the room, The officer slid a statement form across the table. We'll make it simple. Possession, 6 months, 3 years probation. Or we escalate distribution, endangering a minor. That's 20 years. Alana said nothing. A woman entered plain clothes, jittery, eyes darting. I saw her, she said, voice like cardboard. Yesterday with a guy. On 8th Street. I remember. The officer nodded. Would you swear under oath? If I have to. He turned to Alana. See? You're not special. Everyone talks eventually. Alana asked the woman one question. What's your daughter's name? Emily. Has Emily ever seen you dragged out of a car? The woman couldn't answer. She rushed out of the room. Alana looked up at the ceiling. The camera's been off for 12 minutes, she said. You know that violates DOJ oversight. He paused. So while you doorport me? She smiled slightly. I won't have to. You've said enough. Moments later, a lawyer walked in. Slick suit, leather case. The type who knew how to pretend concern. You're in a bad position, he said. But there's a deal. 3 months jail. 2 years suspended. Clean record if you stay out of trouble. Trafficking, she said. I haven't been charged with anything. He smiled too quickly. Administrative holding. Legal. Golden hour exception. Are you my lawyer? Or the prosecutor? He blinked. I'm here to protect the integrity of the process. She leaned back, eyes locked on the ceiling. How many cameras are in this room? He flinched. Not relevant. Top left. Broken. Since when? He said nothing. She rattled off exact surveillance specs. He opened the door and left. Outside, the older officer was pacing. She signed. No. She's mapping the system. She knows the DOJ surveillance code. She's not just a Fed. She's high level. She's not resisting. She's waiting. If I go silent, trace patrol, 19 Delta, Echo Sierra. Then silence. Devin hacked into the civilian police database. No arrest. No booking. No file. But he found something strange ran overwritten access log tagged with the initials AP72. DOJ restricted clearance. He leaned back, then accessed the federal satellite logs. The patrol car had no duty assignment that day, but its GPS was active. Final location? An abandoned warehouse on the city's west side. He recorded everything. Meanwhile, in a high-rise conference room, Police Chief Nolan Barrett watched the surveillance feed go black. What do we do if the DOJ finds out she's tagged? An officer asked. We wipe everything. She never existed. But it was too late. Emails began arriving at DOJ headquarters. Subject: urgent request for explanation on D9 tag detainee, Alana Pierce. Barrett slammed the table. Find out who submitted her for review. But no one had. She had been registered by an autonomous internal oversight trigger. And the trigger had just lit up every red flag. Back in the station, Alana was returned to the interrogation room. No more pretense. Barrett stood in front of her. Who are you? She didn't answer. What agency do you work for? She smiled faintly. You already know. He reached for his phone. No signal. She spoke just loud enough for the audio feed to catch it. You're being watched. The mic on B1 is live, and it's not recording to your system. He turned pale. 3 seconds later, the lights flickered. The hallway monitor scrambled. A silent war had begun. She didn't need to scream. She just needed to exist. And by the time Barrett walked out of that room, he wasn't the one interrogating anymore. He was the one being documented. And the system he thought he controlled, it had already started to turn on itself.